Speaking of fun, our high school AP Math students are having fun calculating probability equations. What are the chances of that? Well, math teacher Joel Evans has found a way. Something called a flipped classroom. What's a flipped classroom, you ask? Take a look.
Okay, so that was
These Hatboro Horsham High School AP Math students are doing their homework in class instead of working on it at home. Confused? Well, it's a relatively new teaching method called flipping the classroom. Math teacher Joel Evans tried this teaching technique in his class on probability.
Basically what they're doing is they're playing a game that's designed to introduce probability distributions and random variables to them. So they had a video over the break that they had to watch and take notes on that kind of outlined some of the vocabulary and gave some of the formulas that we're going to be using. And then the starting activity for today is to play this game. It's meant to be a fun way to kind of play and do probability while at the same time introducing them to a more concrete example of the definitions that they learned about in the video.
And as you can see here on this little slide, it gives you an example of what I mean when I say discrete variables versus continuous variables.
Absorbing complex math terminology in a standard lecture approach is not easy for students to comprehend. Watching an animated instructional video rather than a lecture has its advantages.
I prefer it because I'm not talking as much or lecturing as much and they're getting more practice problems. I think based on comparing this year to last year, it seems like they're more comfortable because they've done more practice in class, whereas last year they didn't get to do as much practice, and so I felt that they were a little not as comfortable with what we were doing.
It's kind of cool how we had this class set up because we had the video lessons basically that we watched, and then we're learning at home, but then once we're in here with other people, then we can do work with them, where if it was the other way around, we probably would get stuck doing work at home and not know and be able to problem solve by ourselves.
When we're doing the lectures at home, like on the videos, if we have any questions, we can just come in and ask instead of like listening to it and like if you miss something, you're like scrambling to write something down. But like at home, you can like watch the videos and like rewind it and like watch it again. So I like that.
Questions on this? I mean, I've been walking around, I've noticed people are getting it.
Students seem to prefer the flipped classroom approach mainly because they are more engaged in the classroom. They can collaborate with other students and their teacher while figuring out problems.
It's either going to be a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, but it's the grade point average and not the letters. Is it in there?
One other benefit to a flipped classroom is the one-on-one time a teacher has with students. A teacher can answer a question for one student while the rest of the class continues to work. And the downside to a flipped classroom? Well, that would be that valuable resource called time.
It's more work for me because in addition to I'm still doing my lecture, it's just I'm doing it a week or so ahead of time and I'm filming it and then I have to edit it and post it and put everything up there. So it is more work for me, and then I also have to find the activities that they're going to do in class because now that I have more class time, I need to fill that time with productive lessons. So it is more work for me, but I do think it's worth it.
By all accounts, the flipped classroom gets a thumbs up from everyone, but is it effective?
Comparing this year to last year, it seems like they're more comfortable because they've done more practice in class, whereas last year they didn't get to do as much practice, and so I felt that they were a little not as comfortable with what we were doing. But after only 2 years, it's hard to say. I mean, that could just be the difference between classes.
There is evidence in some school districts that flipping in the classroom increases proficiency. Time will tell whether this teaching method will succeed at Hatboro Horsham. So far, it's off to a very good start.
Congratulations to Mr. Evans for making flipping the classroom fun. This new technique is becoming popular among many of our teachers, and with more time to work with students individually, everyone will be doing backflips over bigger academic gains and better student performance.